Hello everyone, how are we doing today? We got a fun adventure today. We're going to do a little basic information on some 9mm reloading on my Lee Turret press. It's an older press, it's a 3-hole still. Never converted it to the 4. But it's got a lot of rounds through it, thousands and thousands of them, and it still works good today. So we're going to go through a little basic information and run a few rounds through it. Let's get this adventure started. Alright, we're going to get started. We have selected our turret block that's already set up with the 3 dies. You got your decap and size, you got your powder and your mouth flare. Then you got your bullet seat and crimp. Now these are already set up, so we're not going to go through that. That'll be a different video if you all want that video. Selected the correct shell holder. We're going to install our die set. If I can hit the hole. Install our shell holder. Just slide it in. Our priming pocket holder, select small for the 9mm. I've already got it labeled for auto comp. I always put a label on there so I don't forget. I got a lot of powder dispensers, so we're going to use the Winchester auto comp. Let's put some of that up in there. Put that out of the way. We're going to be using the Barry's 9mm, 115 grain hollow point. So I'm going to open that box up, have that disposable. The Winchester small pistol primers, standards, nothing special. I typically use CCI, but I bought a bunch of these on sale one time a few years back when primers were hard to get. So I'm trying to use them up, and I'm just loading fun rounds, so don't have to be CCI. But we've got some of them dumped into the tray here. Give the tray a little shake. Get them all pointed the right direction. There we go. I've already got my cases cleaned up, so we're going to get a few of them out there and we're going to set them up. These are not highly polished, I just cleaned them. Like I said, I'm not going to be doing anything wild and fun with them. So we just did a good clean on them. Going to be checking our powder drops today with the little horny digital scale. I've got beam scales, but for the loads we're doing, they're going to be pretty mild. These will be fine. So let's get started.
On the floor, no time for coffee, hitting that door, jump in the truck, gears in.
You can see it runs pretty quiet even with the lid off. I don't recommend running with the lid off, it'll fill your room full of dust. I got corncob media in here with a little Hornady one-shot. Looks like right now I'm polishing up a little rifle brass. Looks like to be 6.5 PRC. I keep my data on the bench and some index cards. This is for quick reference. I actually run this in an Excel file on the computer as well. Here's my 9mm for my berries bullets. I'll go over the data with you. My data was pulled from the internet, from Winchester site, from berries, and confirmed through a couple other third-party sources as well. I never load a dangerous or a hot round, especially in the beginning. I always shoot for the middle first. And since these are plinking rounds, we're going to start pretty much in the middle and continue to run it there. So this is 9mm by 19 Parabellum or 9mm Luger. We're running the berries 115 grain round nose. We're running Winchester Auto Comp powder. We're going to run an overall length of 1.110 to 1.120. I'll shoot for the middle of that. I have tested that in multiple of my firearms already, and they all feed it well and shoot it well. We're going to be running about 5.3 to 5.4 grains of the Auto Comp powder, and it should make for a very controllable, easy shooting round to have fun with. So we've got our data. Put that card up for reference right there. And we are going to do a couple powder dumps and check the weight. Turn my scale on. Zero it out. Check it with the little standard they send you. $154 grains is right. Verify my zero. So we're going to decap and size one, and we will insert a primer. Boom side up. We will eject the old primer. We will seat the new primer. We'll do a powder dump. I'm only going to half stroke it back so it doesn't index. I'm going to dump that powder back out. I always do one dry dump. Redump it. We're going to bring it back. Forgot to turn on my endoscope. So you can see the endoscope. I can look in there and see my powder in there. Saves me from trying to lean over and look down in it. I can just look up and see my powder in my endoscope. This is a nice little tool. I picked it up off of eBay, 20 bucks. It really works great. It's versatile. I can use it on multiple different presses. I can move it around easy. Works real well with pistol calibers and straight wall cartridges so that you can see your powder dump. I don't ever want to have to double powder. Not have powder would be even worse. So I see the powder in there. You can see the powder in. Here, I will show you one without powder just for a visual. You can see down over there there's no powder. It's a good quick test. I can see my case has got a little flare on it. We're going to take a bullet and we're going to go ahead and seat it in nice and firm. No sense to over push it. Get out my mid-octoil calipers, wipe the jaws, make sure they're zero, make sure they're zeroed up. I'm going to pull it out, we're going to measure. Measures 1 inch 1/19, so it's under the max I wanted to load at. Check the flare, take a close look. You can see the roll crimp on the edge. I will take a picture and throw up there close up so you can see the crimp. Primer looks good and flush. There's no damage to the case anywhere. There's no splits. Always check your cases when you're loading. Don't get complacent. Go fast for no reason. Everything looks good on that. Let's put that in the box. And as you see here, I have a pretty little blue box. I actually 3D print these up here at home. This one's specifically for 9mm. You can see I've already loaded a few. But those are nice little cases to 3D print up. If you would like the file for that, I've got it for multiple calibers, and it's also available on the internet. So it seems like we loaded a good round. I'm going to go over some basics now that we did a round real quick. Cleaning the cartridges, depending on what I do with them. If I want them to be super pretty and super clean, I'll do a long process. These particular, because I'm just going to plink with them, I do clean them well. I got about 6 hours sitting in the corncob media with a little hot shot, or the one-shot Hornady cleaner. I always clean them till I make sure that the inside of the case is clean, down in the bottom around the primer pocket. I'm not going for super shiny. I do them primed. That way I don't got to pull the little pieces of media out of the primer pocket hole. These are nice. They cleaned up okay. Habit of mine is I turn all the cartridges upside down just in case there's any small particles loose in there. Make sure there's no trash in them. Inspect a few, make sure they're consistent. So on this particular die set for a Lee, it uses a number 19 shell holder. Make sure you use the right shell holder. This is an older press. It has this style of primer pocket hole tool. One side small pistol or rifle. I pretty much primarily only use this little old press for fun pistol rounds. 45, 9mm, 40, 357, 38. I do a little bit of 44 mag and 41. But I don't use this for precision rifle. I do that single stage. I mean, if I'm doing a lot of rounds, I've got my Hornady AP lock and load over here. I can put out a lot of rounds with it really fast. So I shoot a lot of 40 Smith & Wesson. I know that's not a cartridge people like to shoot a lot. I really like that cartridge. I have since the mid 80s when it came out for the FBI. I've enjoyed shooting it. I have lots of handguns in that caliber, along with 9mm and 45 ACP. But currently this Hornady's set up for the 40 Smith & Wesson, and I can pump out a lot of rounds fast if I feel like having a good range day. So we're going to go over some basics. I will tell everyone to have a good reloading book. I'm not going to tell you what brand to get. I'm not going to try to sell you any product, tell you this one's better than the other. I'm actually running an old Spear number 9. This one's given to me by a gentleman that taught me to reload back in the 80s. And I have a lineman. The basic data is good. Reloading hasn't changed much over the years. The equipment's gotten better. There's some really nice equipment out there. It's a price point, how much money you want to spend and what you want in return. This little Lee makes great handgun cartridges for fun rounds. And so I use it still to this day for that reason. So we'll go over some basics of the setup. If you're coming in without a setup and you've got an empty plate and you're putting your dies in, for the decap die, the very first thing you want to do is put it in loose. Make sure the decap pin's extending below the surface. About 3/8 of an inch is usually good. You want that pin engaged before you start getting into the tight squeeze of the case size. These are carbide dies. I recommend that highly. No lube required. When you bring it up and you screw the die down till it touches the surface of your shell plate, and then snug it into place. Adjust your decapping pin at that point. On the auto dispense I have on this one, this die is pretty simple to set up. You'll put a cartridge in after it's been primed. You will bring it up and you will adjust it down until it just starts to flare the mouth of the cartridge where you want it, casing. And of course the auto dump will have dumped powder at the same time. And then you have the decap die. You set it the same way. The top screw is the height and bullet seat, and the main body sets the amount of crimp you get around the shell. So I put in an empty one usually, back out the bullet seat, I will push it all the way up, and I will run the die down until I feel it contact the top of the case with the rim fully up. I will back it off, and I will adjust it about 1/8 to 1/4 of a turn, and then I will run it completely through, get powder in it. I will bring it up, seat the bullet, and then I will start adjusting this down until I get my overall length I wish to have. Then I will verify my roll crimp, and I may micro adjust that a little bit here and fine tune my overall length. So setting the dies up only takes a few minutes. It's not really that difficult. You can switch calibers pretty easy. I have multiples of these already set up for all the calibers I run, so I can literally change calibers in less than 30 seconds if I really hurry. Let's say a minute. So that's basically all there is to it. I will put up some data, some websites I go to for powder data. Let's load a couple and show just how easy it is. There you go. You can load them pretty fast. I'm trying to stay out of the camera. You don't have to pause that long on a powder dump. I do it just to make sure there's no tricklers. Check my length. There we go, 1 inch 1/15. They vary a little. And I really believe that is due to the inconsistency of the parabolic impact point on the Berry's bullets. These are pretty low end. They shoot great. They're pretty consistent. But being a long tapered nose like that and the way the Lee die is designed, they usually vary a couple thousandths in OAL. I've seen that pretty regular. In a more rounded nose bullet, I don't see that as much. If you're going to load a lot of rounds, I highly recommend that you wear gloves for a couple reasons. They keep your hands clean, keep the powder off of them, keep the lead off of them, and they don't get your oils and acids on your brass, cause your brass to corrode. I'm going to shoot these up within a couple days, so not a big deal. But as you can see, we're making some 9mm, and it's pretty simple. Not much here to it. Keep an eye on your endoscope. Make sure you're dropping the powder. Had a primer stuck in the bottom down there in the discharge chute. Powder in. I can see my powder. Seat my bullet. And there you have it. We're making bullets. Nice consistent little 9mm round to have some fun with. If you got any major questions or would like to see some detailed instructions about certain parts of it, I'd be more than happy to. I can't stress enough that when you're loading ammo, take warnings. Hot rounds don't make good rounds. They're not healthy for anyone. They're not healthy for the gun. They're not healthy for the casing. It reduces your shell casing life. I can get 6 to 10 reloads out of a piece of brass, depending on what it is. The manufacturer, even a good piece of Starline brass will produce me 8 to 10 reloads. So I got good life if you take care of them. I run pretty much in the middle on my powder charges for fun rounds. Be safe. Don't take chances. If in doubt, don't load it. Don't assume. Don't swap powders using the same charges. Always check the manufacturer's recommendations. It's a fun little hobby. If you're going to shoot a lot, it'll save you a little money. even on 9mm if you do it on the cheap. Buying Barry's bullets or even extremes, catching primers on sale, powder at a decent price. You can still load cheaper than buying new. And it's also a good hobby and a fun time. Get you some wind down time. I do it a lot just to relax. And primers keep getting in the trash slot. I lubricated the press up with some Teflon, and it's progressing a little fast. Need to set the timing on it when it's lubricated up. So anyway, there's some 9mm ready to go to the range with. Thanks for watching. Remember, have fun in the great outdoors.
Rolled out of the rack, feet in the floor, no time for coffee, hitting that door, jump in the truck, gears in the back, let's hit the road and find that buck. Hey, what's that sound? A break in the grass,